Hi guys, what's up? It's Will here once again for another fight card prediction. I'm going to be doing a quick picks one for UFC 238. I've been kind of under the weather, so yeah, I don't really kind of feel like doing this all that much. I just kind of feel like I want to be resting in bed and kind of looking after myself a little bit. So I'm really going to fire through these really, really quick. And then if I do a cash lift later on in the week, I think I'll go more into detail on my UFC 230 238 pick. So I'm kind of going to get right into this coming off UFC Stockholm, which is a rough card for me betting wise, actually. Good for DraftKings. So it's weird how that kind of works out a little bit. But yeah, like I said, I'm feeling under the weather, not feeling great. I'm going to fire through these as quick as I possibly can. I'm not really in the mood for sitting in front of a camera and talking fights. It's not many times I kind of feel like this where I don't really want to talk about fights, but today is just one of those ones. I just want to get to myself to bed and rest pretty much. So hope you can appreciate I'm firing through this. I'm not going to be kind of as detailed as what I usually am. So yeah, I'm going to get through this right now. So just from what I'm seeing, Eddie Wineland and Gregory Popov hasn't got a place in the card as yet. It looks like it's going to be in the early prelims. So I'm going to start off with that. Gregory Popov, from what I see, not overly impressive. Kind of a little bit. When I watched him, he never really impressed me. I think he's a counter striker by trade, decent striking. I was looking at the betting odds of this a couple of days ago, and I saw that Wineland was -120, which I don't think is a bad bet. I think Wineland's definitely at his tail end of his career, not taking all that much damage in his last few fights, but he has lost these last two fights against John Dodson and Alejandro Perez. Close fights, but he did pretty much lose those fights. Popov, to me, it looks like he's when I look at both guys, I think that Wineland is a kind of more controlled striker, where I think that Popov is more technical. He's actually, one of the weird things with this, he's actually older than Eddie Wineland. Eddie Wineland's been around MMA for a long time. Popov, not so much. So, yeah, like I say, I'm going to quickly fire through these. If you want me to kind of break them down a little bit more, I'll maybe do more on the cash lift later on in the week. So, I like Eddie Wineland to win the fight there. I think he can control rounds, vast majority of the rounds here, and I think he'll win a decision for me there. Plus, I did the MMA huddle. If you're looking for a more in-depth breakdown, where I talk about it a little bit more, break it down, I was feeling a lot better when I did that one, and you can get it there. But Caitlin Chookagian against Joanne Calderwood. Initially on the huddle, I picked Caitlin Chookagian. I think I'm going to revert back to my initial gut feeling on the pick, which was Joanne Calderwood. I'm not a believer in this is JoJo 2.0 as of much yet because of the people that she's beat. I know she beat Lipsky, who I picked, I actually bet, and Kalindra Faria. I think she caught them at the right time. Faria's not a good fighter. And Lipsky, I think she'll definitely show a lot more than she did in her UFC debut. I thought JoJo did fight smart, got takedowns controlled there. That's something I think she has to do here because Chookagian's not going to want to stand there and really engage too much because I think she will be outgunned there. I think what JoJo has to do is mix it up, but be careful, get takedowns, and just don't watch you leave kind of limbs in there where she could possibly get a submission because Chookagian comes under Ricardo Almeida, so a pretty decent guy for jiu-jitsu. I just think JoJo can maybe mix up a little bit more. Like Chookagian's not going to really initiate the fight. She's not going to be the pressure fighter in the fight. So everything is on JoJo here. If she can get off the harder strikes, not be on the kind of deficit of this kind of strike count and get off, then I think she wins that. I don't know why I initially thought Chookagian. I think because I thought the fight was going to be close, but when a day or two later, when I look into it, I think that Joanne's going to kind of pressure a little bit more and kind of, I think she can mix up. If she mixes it up, I think she wins the fight. So JoJo for me in that one there. Changed from my pick of Caitlin Chookagian. Bevon Lewis against Darren Stewart. A little bit kind of weird. I don't know what the bet line is. I think that the line is a little bit too off for me, in my opinion. Let me just bring this up. Sorry, quick. I thought I saw seen him like plus 200, which to me is completely off. So yeah, he's plus 195. That to me is definitely off. Definitely off. I don't see why that line, like Bevon Lewis, should be minus 235. I think he should definitely be favoured, but I think it should, like Darren Stewart should be below minus 150 at least. So that line's a little bit weird to me. I think it's a fight where Bevon Lewis can. I mean, he's still very. He hasn't been in the UFC all that long. He only had the one fight against Uriah Hall. Obviously, had the Dana White Contender Show. Darren Stewart's had a couple more fights. He's got a couple of wins under his belt. But I think he's a guy that is very, very beatable. I think that Bevon Lewis can really mix up in the feet. I think that he can use the aggression of Darren Stewart to really counteract that, put him against the cage, hold on to him a little bit, maybe pepper him at distance a little bit. I just think that the aggressiveness of Darren Stewart actually played in the hands of Bevon Lewis. So yeah, it's not a fight I've overlooked that much into, but I do think that Bevon Lewis should win the fight. But I don't. If you want to bet an underdog in this one, I don't think Darren Stewart's a bad one in my opinion. So Bevon Lewis to win that one there. I'll go via a decision in that one. Yan Xioanan against Angela Hill. I like Yan Xioanan pretty comprehensively. I think that this is going to be a high striking affair between both girls, a lot of output, but I think the bigger strikes will be landed from Yan Xioanan. Now, like I say, I'd be surprised if this kind of hits the mat, but I think that if it was to hit the mat, I think it'd be Xioanan that would definitely initiate that, and I think it's something that she could do just to mix it up. On the feet, like I say, I think there's going to be a lot of output. I think there's going to be a lot of strikes landed, but I think the more meaningful strikes in the fight are going to be landed from Yan Xioanan. So I've got her to win that one via decision in that one as well. Where am I looking? Sorry. Yeah. Moving on to the prelims, we've got Ricardo Lamas against Calvin Kattar. I like Calvin Kattar in this one here. I think that it's another big step up from after his Moicano fight. He kind of got not a layup fight in Chris Fishgold, but Fishy was making his UFC debut, got far too aggressive, gassed, and you can't do that against a caliber fighter like Calvin Kattar, who's very, very good on the feet, mixes up great feints, great footwork, really accurate, powerful combination striking. And he can put together, he can get takedowns as well. Like I said in the huddle the other night there, I was like, I wasn't initially impressed when I watched his footage before coming into the UFC. He's a totally different fighter to what I've seen in the regionals, to what is in the UFC. Very dangerous. Like we've seen the knockout of Burgos. It is one of my favourite knockouts I've had the last few years. Ricardo Lamas, always dangerous, super veteran fighter. He's been around for a long time. He's getting up there in age now, 37, 38 years old, I want to say he is. Coming off a beautiful knockout, actually, in Argentina of Darren Elkins. Big elbows. Caught him with some nice strikes on the feet, and then absolutely smashed him with elbows after a couple of tough losses. Obviously, there's the Josh Emmett one, where I think that if he gets into kind of striking battles, then he is definitely susceptible to getting knocked out, and especially against a big power hitter like Kattar, who is, like I say, very accurate, and he's got power to go very well with his hand striking combinations, like from hooks to tight 1-2s down the pipe. I just actually like him to win this one here. I think that maybe Lamas might try to use kind of wrestling game plan in this one here, and I think that maybe Calvin will be able to nonchalantly kind of rub that to the side and keep it in the feet. And I think on the feet he is the more composed striker. So for me, I've got Calvin Kattar to win by knockout in the third round there. Karolina Kowalkiewicz against Alexa Grasso. Tough one for me here. Karolina, yeah, she's definitely slowed down a little bit. But in saying that, she's slowing down to decent fighters. It's not like she's losing to super bad fighters. I mean, she's getting these for these Herrigs and Jodie Esquibel. She's winning. The Herrig one was a little bit closer than the Esquibel one, but what she's kind of known for is high off. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place tonight. A lot of offense, so a high strikeout, And if she can get that off and get into the clinch, land knees, Grasso, I'd be surprised if she's going to take her down. That's what kind of happened with the Watson fight. She got in too close, and that old head and arm throw kind of came to fruition, and she lobbed her to the ground, and pretty much lost the rounds through that, and nearly got submitted as well. Grasso is a striker by trade, so these two are going to go back and forward striking. But for me, I think Alexa Grasso, I know she's not, I think she was pretty overhyped coming into the UFC. I think I was on the bandwagon with that, if I'm being honest with you. But she's still only 25 years old. She's still got a lot of growing. We haven't seen the best in the UFC. Her wins aren't great. Split over Randa Marcos, Heather Jo Clark, lost to Suarez. Tatiana Suarez got absolutely beasted in Chile last year. That happens against Tatiana Suarez, though. But like I said, I don't think we've seen the best of her. I think this is going to be another one like the ladies' fight before. I think there's going to be a lot of strikes either side here. In a very close fight, but I'm actually edging Alexa Grasso in this one to win a very, very kind of close split decision. But like I say, that could go either way for me there. So yeah, Aljamain Sterling against Pedro Munhoz. Yeah, I've been kind of flip-flopping in this a little bit. Initially, when this fight got made, I was on Pedro Munhoz, but I think as I've watched a little bit more, I think that Aljamain Sterling could actually win this fight, and he's going to be my pick in this fight. I think that his striking's definitely coming along a long ways, where he's got a lot of strike. He can strike a lot. Strikes aren't really concussive or they do much damage, but he's got a high output with them. Fights at a good distance, and he mixes it in with his wrestling. I loved what he did in the Cody Stamann fight, where he kind of had a lot of strike output in that fight. Also mixed up there, got a beautiful, beautiful submission. And then Jimmie Rivera, he completely he couldn't take Jimmie down, but he completely outstruck him in the feet, and that's shown that's progression of his game. He showed a little bit of that in the Brett Johns fight as well, where he had a lot of distance striking with teep kicks and some nice leg kicks and so on. He is a long, languid fighter, so he kind of uses that. He's starting to use that very well, and we all know about his submission. We all know about his wrestling. That is his main forte, and he's once he gets a hold, he's a hard guy to get off you, especially if he gets on your back. But he's got a super dangerous opponent here in Pedro Munhoz, who I say this every time you break down Pedro Munhoz fights. Like you don't leave limbs out there for that guy, especially necks, by going in for takedowns or getting rear naked chokes, because if he does, he will submit you. He's got a hell of a squeeze on him. Coming off that big win over Cody Garbrandt, where I still feel for Cody Garbrandt in that fight, because I thought he had him hurt, but then he, like I say, he's got nothing in between his 2 years, and that really cost him that fight pretty much. But great win over Brian Caraway. That's always a tough W. Brett Johns, he absolutely dismantled, destroyed in every facet of that fight. I don't think we've seen Brett Johns again since. So, yeah, this is a close fight. I think the pressure of Pedro Munhoz could play a big factor in this fight, but I just like the overall game right now of Aljamain Sterling. Like I say, when I seen the fight get put together, I was interested in the line. I actually quite like Munhoz as a dog play here, but my gut's telling me to go with Aljamain Sterling, so I'm going to go with Aljamain Sterling to win a pretty close decision in that one there. Tatiana Suarez against Nina Ansaroff. Tatiana Suarez is going to win. I'd be surprised. I've wrote off Nina Ansaroff pretty much every fight in the last couple, probably since maybe the Justine Kish fight. Was it Justine Kish or the Angela Hill fight? I think are better in that one actually. Would use takedowns to win that fight. She didn't. She kind of did that to the Randa Marcos. Then got a massive win against Claudia Gadelha. I know a lot of short people were on that fight, and fair play to you guys. That was a great take. But when you look at Tatiana Suarez, she's a champion in weight, and she's got the kind of game that's going to take herself to titles. Wrestling background. She's got striking's coming along. She's got submissions in there as well. Like I say, I would be super, super surprised if I seen Nina Ansaroff come in here and beat Tatiana Suarez. I don't think she's going to stop takedowns. Maybe catch on a submission. Maybe that's the game plan she's working on. but yeah, I'd be surprised if I don't see Tatiana Suarez getting her hand raised here. So I think it's going to be I actually think that Suarez will get the submission win kind of late in the fight, maybe late second round into that third round. So Tatiana Suarez is my pick in that one there. Tuivasa against Blagoy Ivanov kicks off the pay-per-view. I've went with Blagoy Ivanov, surprisingly. I've said, I think, in previous shows that Blagoy Ivanov's been fighting on. I would probably never pick Blagoy Ivanov in the UFC. I did think he lost to Ben Rothwell. I bet Ben Rothwell, so maybe that's where that kind of talk on me is coming from. And initially, when I had the fight put together, I was like, oh, I quite like Tai Tuivasa in this fight. And then I watched some of the Tai Tuivasa fights, and I'm like, I just wasn't overly impressed. And Blagoy Ivanov is like super hard to look good against. He really is. He's just a veteran of a long time. He's won a lot of fights. He doesn't lose many fights. He's had fighters like this, in my opinion, where they've tried to throw guys onto him, like back in the day, your Rich Hales and your LeVar Johnson, big hitters. And he's dealt with them. And he's only a couple of losses as JDS and Volkov, I think it was back in the day. He's got the spoiler kind of game plan here to really, and I took a lot away from the Arlovsky fight where he didn't really do much. If he has a similar type of fight here against Blagoy, I think Blagoy is absolutely going to win rounds against him. And I'm surprising myself in that. I've actually bet Blagoy Ivanov actually plus 150. Got him, I think it was Thursday night after I did the Cash Lift episode. I thought it's just a play I really like. I think the lines actually came down. I don't know what the line is now. Let me see. Plus 125, so it's came down 25 cents. So, yeah, I like Blagoy Ivanov to win a really horrible decision here where he might tie up Tai Tuivasa in there. But he has to be careful because Tai's obviously got some power. Very, very reckless. But I just think he's going to win a really bad decision here. But if he does that, then I'm going to win money off it. So, Blagoy Ivanov for the win there. Jimmie Rivera against Petr Yan. I'm on Petr Yan here. I'm trying to think how Jimmie Rivera wins this fight, and I don't like. I know Petr Yan is one of my favorite guys in the UFC. I really think I'll put my hand out there right now, and I think he is going to be UFC bantamweight champion in 2020. I really do. I'll put it out there, and hopefully I'll come back to this and I'm right one day or next year. But I really like watching this guy fight. His fighting style is so pleasing to the eye. He's good in so many aspects. I think he is definitely open in a lot of aspects as well. He gives you opportunities, but he's got high output, great wrestling, can throw a shot, can take a shot. Even though he gets dropped occasionally, he recovers very, very well. The Douglas Andrade fight was the one to me where he just totally dismantled, made him quit on the stool there. And then John Dodson, he was stalking him down, took some big shots in that one, got put in his arse a couple of times, but still won that fight very, very convincing against a very awkward pro in John Dodson. That's what it is. He's very hard to fight, but like I say, super aggressive, has wrestling, has grappling, has striking. When I look at Jimmie Rivera, I think I just struggle to see how could he beat him. Could he out-grapple him and keep him there? I don't think he can. Can he outstrike him? Possibly, but I think Petr Yan's got the more concussive blows. And like I said, I bet Petr Yan in a parlay with Yan Xioanan. Actually, I got that last week as well, plus 114. And those lines have changed drastically since as well. But like I say, Jimmie Rivera, he kind of looked to shield himself. Aljo dealt with him really easily in that fight. The Marlon Moraes one, I think, took a lot of confidence away from him, snapped that massive win streak that he was on. How big the win streak was, but I know he hadn't lost in the UFC. I think it was 5 or 6 fights he hadn't lost before Marlon destroyed him in 30 seconds. But like over 15 minutes, I really struggle to see how he beats Petr Yan. I really do. Not unless he really shows up and he gives us something here that maybe Petr Yan hasn't seen, but Petr Yan's a seasoned guy fighting really tough guys on the Russian scene. Like I said, I'm all over Petr Yan here. I don't know. I got him at -275, -330 now. That's probably going to go up a little bit. But Jimmie Rivera +270 is quite enticing when you see that number beside him. But like I say, you can find the chin of Jimmie Rivera. He has been dropped. Thomas Almeida caught him. Marlon obviously put him on his arse as well and knocked him out. So I'm going to go Petr Yan. They're actually going to go by knockout in the second round for me there. People's main event. Great fight. I'm going to sit back and watch. Tony Ferguson makes his return against Donald Cowboy Cerrone. When this fight was made a mere few weeks ago, I was initially I was on Donald Cerrone. As the fights came closer, I think I'm actually on Tony Ferguson. When you look at Cerrone, he really does look a completely kind of different fighter since he had this kid. It's quite interesting. He's destroyed everybody's been put in front of him. I think the first fight of that was, I want to say it was Mike Perry. That the little one was the first fight that he's been around, and Mike Perry was doing stupid things in that fight as per usual. But yeah, Alex, as Donald Cerrone as an underdog is always a fairly decent play. I've bet him his last 3 fights as an underdog, cashed 3 times. Even the Yancy Medeiros one, he was an underdog in that one there. So he's always interesting as an underdog. The one thing that worries me, or did worry me initially, was the slow starting of Cowboy Cerrone, but that he's kind of changed his tune with that. He starts a lot quicker, and we all know he's very, very good. He fights all the time. So he's always ready to go in there and kind of throw down, have himself a good fight. And you're going to get that with Tony Ferguson as well. I really wish this was 5 rounds. I do. I really, really wish it was 5 rounds. But because it's not, it's just a very, very good fight. I'll say this, and if you've been on the cash lift or some of my thirsty thoughts, live streams, but he's obviously been cleared to fight, and he's been allowed to fight, so he must mentally all be there. I'm just a little bit, some of the stories before that was rough. So when it comes to his fighting style, like pressure, he leaves openings, but he also creates a lot of offense. And this is where it's just going to be fighting fire with these two here. I don't know how you can honestly bet this fight. I know Cerrone initially enticed me because he was a dog. I think he was +160. That's always enticing against the guy Cerrone, with a guy like Cerrone. But then I think how I see him winning this fight, I think the pressure, I mean, kind of what he did to Anthony Pettis, but like even Anthony Pettis had his time against Ferguson in that fight. He hurt him, nearly got him out of there, came through it, got the finish. Excuse me, I thought I was going to be sick there for a second. So yeah, the pressure is a big thing for me. I think he can maybe push Cerrone back, but be careful in doing so. It's a struggle for me to pick this fight. Like I say, I was initially on Cerrone. I've kind of changed over to Ferguson. I'm going to stick with Tony Ferguson, but Habib at UFC 242, I think it is. But like that's kind of how I see that. It's the pressure of Tony Ferguson, I think, wins him this fight. And he's got big concussive blows himself, big strikes, unorthodox striking. But you've got the more technical kickboxing style of Cowboy, who that could come into fruition in this fight here. And the submission games of both guys are deadly as well. So I'm thinking it's going to be a striking affair, but who knows? It could be one of those fights. It's just a well-matched mixed martial arts fight. So I'm actually going to go Tony Ferguson by decision. Valentina Shevchenko against Jessica is the co-main event here. I'm not going to pick Jessica. No, I'm not going to pick Jessica ever, especially in title fights. I very rarely pick her. She seems to think, look who she's beat to get a title fight. Caitlin Chookagian, Jessica Rose Clark, Linda Faria. I mean, she's went in there, she's won her fights. Can't take that away from her. But I don't see how she beats Valentina Shevchenko unless she catches her lucky submission, knocks her out. But when I look at Valentina Shevchenko, she's got more output, she's got more clinical striking, she's got more. I think she's just better. I actually think she's better in every aspect ahead of Jessica Eye. I think she's got that champion mentality. I think she's going to have that built for a little bit until maybe a Suarez comes and potentially dethrones her, maybe. But there's no point in me sitting here wanting to spend minutes breaking this fight down because I just see Valentina. I don't see it being a great fight. I just see the more classier fighter, the better fighter, and Jessica. I was going to say that Valentina Shevchenko, totally outclassing Jessica Eye, and I see her just dominating for 5 rounds solid. Could potentially get a submission, or potentially get a finish. Sorry, via submission at some point in this fight. But I like Valentina to win this fight, like 50-44, 50-43, complete domination in my opinion. But if there's anybody out there that's picking Jessica, let me know, because I want to see if there's anybody out there that's actually going to take a stab on her, because there was some guys last week that took a stab on Anthony Smith, and much respect to you guys. I thought on late Saturday night, Sunday, I thought it was a great pick in hindsight. So fair play to you guys there. I know he wasn't as big as what Jessica is, and he was facing someone like Gustafsson, but fair play. Valentina Shevchenko to win via a very, 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 very decisive unanimous decision, if not a stoppage. And the main event of the night, we've got Henry Cejudo against Marlon Moraes. Great fight. The UFC flyweight champion, Henry Cejudo, coming up to challenge for the vacant UFC bantamweight championship against the rightful number 1 contender, Marlon Moraes, who was in line regardless, with his streak that he's on at the minute. I suppose we can talk about Henry Cejudo completely blasting TJ Dillashaw out of the water. Ever since that loss to Joseph Benavidez, he's just been a completely different fighter. His striking is like on a different level. Very, very good hands, quick, powerful striking. And then you've always got to worry about his grappling, his wrestling, because he can dictate fights through that as well. So I'm interested to see how this fight goes. I want to know what the game plan of Henry Cejudo is kind of going to be there, because I think that he could definitely mix it up to where he's wrestling. He's going to get takedowns. I don't know whether his top game, I don't think, is great, and this could be me making a stupid comment here because he's an Olympic gold medalist. But I don't know whether he can stay heavy on top of Marlon Moraes for large parts of this fight if the fight does hit the mat. And then you've got to kind of be very, very worryful about the jiu-jitsu of Marlon Moraes. Marlon Moraes is an absolute, he's on a mission to win this belt. He really is. Since that split loss in his UFC debut against Rafael Assunção, won a very close fight, which I think John Dodson could actually got the nod in that fight. Like folded Aljamain Sterling with a knee, absolutely folded Jimmie Rivera with a head kick, and then taking out someone like Rafael Assunção inside a couple of minutes the way he did, put him on his backside, and then caught an absolute beautiful guillotine choke. The guy, he sounds so confident. He looks ready to go. There's definitely bad blood between these two here, which I think is helping the kind of build up to this fight, in my opinion. Both guys look to be in phenomenal shape. I think that Marlon's going to be the bigger guy, obviously, weight than what Cejudo does. I think Cejudo's going to be the more speedier fighter, but I think the more powerful, devastating striker is definitely Marlon Moraes. A kind of well-mixed striking game. Which I think he can use here. And I think he's got that kind of decent world-class jiu-jitsu, actually, that he's going to make Henry Cejudo think if he does go in for takedowns and maybe catch him in a guillotine or a triangle choke. It's been a while since that's before that's the second one. It's been a while since he was seeing his jiu-jitsu game. It was like a way back in, I think it was Jimmie and Moraes actually. So where he caught him in a rear naked choke. Yeah, really interesting fight. I was on Henry Cejudo pretty big against TJ Dillashaw, and he dealt. I see actually a lot of people in Henry Cejudo here, and I don't know whether it's a bit of recency bias or they just see a clearer path than I do to win. But I've got Marlon Moraes in this one here. I actually think he's going to submit him in the middle part of this fight in the third round. So I've got Marlon Moraes to become the new UFC bantamweight champion. So yeah, guys, that's my pick for UFC 230. Sorry I couldn't really talk more in depth. It's a shame because the card is brilliant. It really is. But like I say, I'm very, very weary, as you could probably tell. Not in the best of spirits. Not feeling great. Getting ready to go in my bed. So again, apologies. I'll see you in a couple of weeks for UFC Greenville. Until then, enjoy the fights. Hope you all cash your bets. Hope we do well in DraftKings and enjoy UFC 230 when it comes round this Saturday. All the best.